I pulled the seat down and the seat kind of even landed on it. I was like, oh my God. The boy jumped in the front seat. And before the door even was shutting, he was screaming at my mom, which they knew each other. My mom babysat them for years. So like she was kind of second mom. And he was screaming, drive, drive. We were all screaming, drive by the time the door was swinging shut. And she just floored it. It was a stick. And she went down the mountain. And I could still feel it chasing the car, but I wouldn't even look back because I was so afraid I could not do it. And I was also in a lot of pain at this point. Like I was starting to hit me. So we pulled down the mountain a little bit. And like we went probably an eighth of a mile, I'd say. And she pulled off to the side of the road. And she doesn't know what's going on. We're not saying what we saw. And she gets kind of frustrated because we're just screaming hysterically. I mean, I would be too. Yeah. There was like a lot of screaming in a small car. And we're screaming for her to keep driving. And she's like, why? And I'm like, Mom, there's something coming for us. You need to keep driving now. And she was like, what is it? And I was like, finally, it just escalated to the point where I was like, we saw a demon thing. We saw a demon thing. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was a demon thing. That's what she said, I said. I don't fully remember. I remember pulling off and begging her to keep going. And I do remember though, that later on when we got to the house, because then my mom drove off, that freaked her out enough to be like, okay, I guess. And like, we kept going and I was like, it's still chasing us. That's why I just knew it was. By the time we got to my house, which was about 1.5 miles from where this occurred, my dad normally woke up pretty early, but we were so hysterical that it woke him up. And my dad was an incredibly rational person. Literally the smartest person I've ever met in my life, hands down, and read books every day. I mean, constant. And my mom at this point now is starting to like get annoyed with us, and because we will not stop, and she wants us to go back to this house and drop this donkey off. And I'm like, no,
Christmas is over.
And it's done. It's ruined. Yeah. And I felt really bad because I was like a really good kid. My dad said I was such a good kid that it was kind of weird, and he was worried there was something, quote, wrong with me. Like, that's how good of a kid I minded and behaved. If they said do something, I did it. I didn't question it. But this was the one time that I was vehemently like, no. I said no. I will not. You ground me. Take away everything. Take all the guitars that I have. I do not care. I will not do it. You can ground me till I'm 18. It's fine. And to see my dad, I never got the chance because he passed away, unfortunately, but I never got the chance to ask him what he thought about that too much because it was so disturbing and weird. And people would have just judged us at the time, I feel like. No one would have believed us, and then it just would have made us look crazy. And I was in music at the time up there, and everyone knew me, and I didn't want that to be a thing. I was even worried about it when I started talking about it now. But we didn't talk about it. I was always curious because it looked like there was this recognition on his face when he saw our terror. My mom was like, you're going back out there. I was like, no. And then she got really upset and was like, it was a bear with mange. That's when she started coming up with excuses of what it was. It was a coyote. And I was like, Mom, I've seen coyotes before. No. So then my dad's trying to like talk her out of like, he's like, if that's what they're saying they saw, I don't want to send them out there. But then she was like, no, we're going to confirm. This is crazy. And she called the foster mom. And she was like, I remember this so vividly. We're all sitting in the living room. And I think my dad took some of the girls home because they were really upset. They didn't even want to stay the night at all anymore. And I think he might have at this point. I don't remember. But she called the mom. And they were on speakerphone. And my mom's holding the phone in the kitchen. And she's like, they're saying they saw this thing out there, and it was like, I guess 8.5 feet tall. And I guess what I just want to know from you is, are you sending are your tenants crazy? Are they like people that just like terrorize children? Like accusing anybody who lived down there in those little tiny homes of like terrorizing us? I think that weirdly made more sense than what we were explaining. And I was like, Mom, she was like, they must have been on stilts. I was like, this thing climbed up the side of a mountain at a pace that I've never seen a cheetah climb.
Subscribe now and turn on notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.